I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to confirm quorum by roll call, please.
Mr. Michael Suggs.
Here.
Dr. Denise Johnson Woods. Present. Attorney Chantre Irving.
Present.
Dr. Vanessa Allen McLeod. Present. Mr. Glenn Johnson.
Present.
With 5 members being present, we do have quorum and can conduct a legal meeting. I'd like to start off the meeting with a few words from Attorney Tolbert.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Tolbert, and we're here today for this meeting as a public hearing to provide information regarding the proposed superintendent contract, and as required under Indiana law. Many of you have the right, I believe, have signed up to speak and give public commentary, which is your right under the law. You will be relegated to 3 minutes, and the board would respectfully request that your comments fall within those 3 minutes. And not only do they fall within those 3 minutes, that we all are respectful of each other's opinions, no personal attacks with respect to the board or even each other, so that we can get this process going and then we can hear the pros and the cons and everyone's concerns. So we look forward to hearing your commentary, and we look forward to a very productive, efficient, and respectful meeting. So thank you all.
Thank you, Attorney Tolbert, and I'd like to start off with begging for a little grace as I read names. I'm not the best in reading names, so just be a little patient with me. The first name I see is Tristy Sass.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Sass. I want to make 2 basic comments about the contract. One is, for comparison purposes, I looked up the district where my kids went to school, and that person makes about $330,000, so that's about 50% more than you're proposing. So that didn't seem completely out of whack. Except I would just like to say that that district has 2 high schools, 5 middle schools, and at least 11 elementary schools. It might be 13. And and 18,000 students. So that's 4.5 times the number of students. And they certainly test better and get higher ranking. It's number 25 in Illinois. Anyway, then as far as your contract, I like that you have some incentives for 3 areas. That's always good. Academic improvement, financial operation leadership, and district enrollment increases. But I'm a numbers type, so if you look at $5,000 compared to the over $200,000 annualized pay, 5,000 is only 2.5%. So to my mind, a former salesperson, that's not very motivating. So I like that you have those. I think the academic improvement is the most important, because if the academics were to improve, I think enrollment would go up and the finances would be helped as well. So what I'd like to suggest is that you knock the actual salary down to about 150 and put another 150 into those 3 categories. I'm okay if the person improves stuff so much they get the max benefit. I'd be okay with them making $300,000. But what you do, in my opinion, when you make the scale for academic improvement, I don't know what the points are that you're going for, because I don't see any detail, and I'm hoping that there are actual concrete details to get those bonuses. But if the person, say, gets 1 point, they get another $3,000. But if it goes up 2 points, they get another $5,000. And if they get up 3 points, they get $8,000. So it goes up geometrically. So it gives them more incentive to get that going. So in summary, I would just like to say that, Mayor Melton, and I think all of us want good things for Gary, and what better way to make the schools better rated? Like right now, it's pretty sad that they're all at #1. So the best way, in my opinion, is to attract more families and have better housing and do all that kind of stuff is have better schools. Thank you.
Ma'am, can I get your name again? Could you spell it?
No.
Christy, C-H-R-I-S-T-Y, Sass, S-A-S-S.
Okay, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Linda Collins.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would first of all like to cite a quote that I did 57 years ago while in junior high school. And I remember it to this day. By Mary McLeod Bethune. Our children must never lose their zeal for building a better world, for they are to be the leaders of tomorrow. Bringing you to the future, my granddaughter, now 25 years old, and I actually cited that during Black History. My granddaughter, now 25 and a college graduate, and I pray to be around to see her attend medical school. That's her goal. And she, as a student at Banneker during Black History, dressed as Mary McLeod Bethune and cited that very, very quote. We all know the importance of, and for those that do not know, Mary McLeod Bethune was an activist, a civil rights activist, and an educator. And she was also a philanthropist. So we all know the importance of having a good, qualified school superintendent, one that's able to meet established goals for academic success. And we all want that. Whenever anyone moves into a district, that's the one thing they look at, is the school, especially if they have children and or are taxpayers. So some are all for having a superintendent local, a local superintendent. We had one at one time. Unfortunately, that fell from grace. We also had a superintendent that was from out of town during my daughter's tenure in school, in the Gary Public School. And to this day, we have excellent rapport with that individual. And there's some among us today that know exactly who I'm talking about, that lives in Michigan. Excellent superintendent. He was not from the area. He loved the children. My granddaughter met him while she at school board meetings, because I brought them, and it was nice, it was positive, it was calm, and I must applaud the board that we have today, because all of you fit the criteria that I, as a parent and grandparent, would look at a school board, because that's what I'm accustomed to. One that's professional, one that is calm and pleasant and just treat everyone with the most respect. So with that being said, thank you for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I look forward to hearing your comments as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. Carolyn McCready.
Good afternoon, everyone, board members. My name is Carolyn McCready, and I taught in high school English for 20 years, first at Lew Wallace, and then at the Emerson School for the Visual and Performing Arts. I'm here tonight to reiterate what I believe is the most important goal our new superintendent must have: to create a learning environment that will transform the way education happens in our city. I believe this goal has to be connected to the concept of career pathways, because career pathways centers on the idea that every child should have a purpose in coming to school based on a potential career, beginning at an early age, so that the school attendance has meaning beyond the requirements set by parents. It links students to the resources and curriculum through which they can grow. Decades ago, I became acquainted with this concept, which was in practice then at highly successful schools. Students at these schools experienced high graduation rates, good daily attendance, and post-high school plans focusing on next steps. I found out that this process began early in the elementary grades in collaboration with teachers, guidance counselors, and students working together to determine each student's interests and abilities through testing and conversations. Through this process, the student discovers opportunities linked to specific careers and how they can prepare for them. It has been past practice in Gary, unfortunately, to begin talking about post-secondary education in junior and senior years. We need to have the conversation and the curriculum much earlier. Right now, we have examples in Gary as to how this could work. Our Career Center provides career training in a number of fields. Bailey Middle School offers a STEM education that can help direct students to several areas of study in science, technology, engineering, and math. In this regard, Indiana University Northwest offers a medical school where students who have taken the requisite science classes can study medicine post-secondary. We know that few Gary students study to be medical professionals, and this needs to be addressed as there is a shortage of African Americans practicing medicine at all levels. We also have an airport that can become a partner with our schools to introduce young people to various aeronautic fields. And finally, we have a burgeoning urban farm community that can provide meaningful professional work in many ways. And research shows that infusion into the curriculum of African American contributions and history is a powerful way to encourage students to study in fields where they are historically underrepresented. We must turn the page in our city. Our students can learn to be tradespeople, medical professionals, or performing artists or urban farmers. But they will not be able to discover who they are unless we can offer the opportunity to explore their possibilities linked to the curriculum that gets them there. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tolbert.
Robert Bugs.
Good evening, Robert Buggs. I was expecting that the superintendent would be here tonight. I rise tonight to say that I'm still opposed to the way the superintendent is being selected. The citizens of Gary don't know the name. We don't know anything about the superintendent. But I have a little brief copy, I guess, synopsis of the contract. And I think it's really unfair to the citizens of Gary. Now, you say $5,000 to $5,000 for academic increase. If you go from a D plus to a C, that's our academic improvement. But if you get $5,000, the other thing is we didn't have any input whatsoever. Now, I don't believe in hearsay, but I've been told that this superintendent, whoever she is, was terminated from her last 2 places of employment. At Muncie, I was told, I don't like hearsay, but we have nobody else to go to ask questions about it because they kept it a big secret, that she was a superintendent at Muncie, but she was bought out of a contract for being ineffective. These things that we should have discussed at way months ago. So now it comes that she's already been hired, and this stuff is coming out, which we had some of this information, but we had nobody to ask because BWP, they said that they had this little, where you go at the little forums. That was very unproductive because it was limited to 3 questions that they proposed. For example, you couldn't ask the new superintendent, this is what we would like her to see. We had to stay to those 3 questions. And the survey, we had to go on their words that it was 500 people. So this whole process has been very flawed. The other thing is that we have a situation at Westside High School. I can't get in, and the principal, or Mr. Dr. Reyes, is not here, and it's very serious because this young man is going to graduate this year, next month. I won't go into all of the details about it, but it's really, really a travesty to have a superintendent. We got a serious problem right now, and no superintendent. Only you all know who she is and what she looks like. That is unfair to the citizens, because that person is going to be making decisions for our children for the next 3 years, and you got about, when you total it all, about $500,000 contract. That includes the insurance and all the other amenities. And we don't even know who she is. But one thing we do know is coming out of our taxpayers' money. Is that fair?
No.
Not fair at all. So I'm going to say to the attorney, I would like to speak with Dr. Reyes. We have a serious, serious situation at Westside with the principal and a teacher. So that needs to be taken care of ASAP, because this young man is going to graduate next month. Thank you.
Akili Shakur. Did I say your name correctly?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Can you spell it for me?
AKILI Okay, from all of the information that I've been gleaning from community, hearsay, little tidbits that are written out there on the streets about the method by which this contract has been drawn up, I have concerns, because I want to know if the contract that is supposed to be already have been signed is found to be invalid due to the manner by which it was put together, and this person has signed that contract. Does the citizens of Geary still have to pay that contract even if you have to go back to the floor and start over again? That's one of my questions. And then I'm also concerned about evidence that you're able to show where you've been able to transform a failing school from a black community and show that you turned it around, that it was successful, that it did not remain the same by the time that you had left that particular position. And third question, as up under this new superintendent, is anything being mentioned about how they're going to bring the parents back to the table? Because everywhere, parents were not involved. I would get phone calls about people having problems with issues with the school and they couldn't get in, this, that, and the other. So are all of those being talked with amongst you all to find out ways that that's going to be addressed within our community so that parents feel like they have skin in the game? That's my questions.
All right.
Jessica James.
Said Jessica James.
Jessica James. Carmen James.
Oh, I tell you.
Miss Boyd. I think it's Anthony. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm Nicole Susanna Boyd, and this is Anthony Johnson. And I'm his auntie, and I'm going to just piggyback off a lot of the comments that we have talked about as far as what's happening within the school system and how it's impacting the youth. Just as Mr. Bugg spoke, this is the young man that was due to graduate from Westside next month that we have this serious issue occurring. Now, in this particular issue, there were protocols that should have been done. He was taken away, put out of school for a week, and then somehow that turned into something that was indefinite, but while all this is going on, the proper paperwork that should have been done, that wasn't done. As far as trying to contact the available guardian to make sure that this situation was handled effectively, that wasn't done. That type of behavior falls in line with what we're talking about, the grading, a -1. When you're having administration in the schools that are not taking care of our young people, it impacts them. This is what this is all about. The superintendent, what she's talking about, the greatness that these youth can have. There needs to be things in place from the superintendent down to the board, and also the oversight over the schools to make sure this situation that we're having right now with my nephew doesn't happen. He's a young person trying to find his way, and he's just been put out in the cold. Like, he doesn't matter. Everybody who's supposed to be there to help him, who's gone through life, who's been through the things that can help him see this way through, that's not happening. So the situation that is occurring in Westside High School, that's leaving my nephew out in the cold, which is a young black man trying to find his way, this is a matter that needs to be addressed, and how it was addressed that left him out in the cold, it needs to be rectified. So I would like some resolve of whatever that process is to make sure this is looked into and handled correctly. I'm here to follow whatever that is to make sure that the necessary steps are done. Thank you.
Did you say Nicole?
The post is on.
Anthony Johnston, I believe.
This is it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
My name is Anthony Johnson. I used to be a student at Westside Leadership Academy. I was supposed to graduate actually June 2nd, 2024. About that school, a lot of people don't realize more than what the school is. And I'm gonna put that to you. That school, it has major issues. I struggled so much in that school to the point where I had to even defend myself, because the first time I stepped in that school, it was a lot. It was people being mess at each other. It was hard for me to get to class without bumping into someone, it was messing with my safety and stuff. The principal, currently the one that got to the school in my junior year, Carl Scott, anytime I needed him to help me with something, not there. Anytime I needed help with someone, it was always Mr. Hammer or anyone else. But anytime I needed help from the actual principal of that school, he wasn't there. I got removed from Westside, or so-called removed without no paperwork. I got 5 days. My English teacher, she put out my personal information. Over 50 students know about my situation. I felt ashamed going back to that school. I felt like I couldn't even show my face in that school. Telling me how don't keep me from graduating. I'm not gonna be left alive.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
She put my information out. When I found out that she said stuff, it made me feel less of a person. I walked in, let my anger off on that woman. Left. I made a threat. No, I should never made a threat. I told her what I know with her party. Because it already hurt. I've been through a lot. And I don't need no more stress. I went downstairs with Muhammad. He looked at both point of views. He knew she was in the wrong. I was in the wrong too. He gave me 5 days. I was going, it'll get better. I go home. I come back 6 days later because, you come back on the same day. Sometimes I'll be in trouble to go back on the exact date. I come back six days later. They talking about, can't step foot in the school. And I'm like, why didn't y'all tell me this before I left? I could have been got a head start on getting my education somewhere else. All that time wasted, I'm sitting up having mental breakdowns at home because of what I'm already going through. You still bound me. I'm already going through a lot. And she added on. Made me feel less of a person. Had to go to a mental facility. Almost ended my own life. Because she made me feel less of a person. I was going to be able to make it out. I felt like I wasn't going to be able to make it out.
All All right.
Okay.
All right. Hope you're taking that down. Hope you're taking it down.
Dr. Shelley Fisher.
Set up a meeting. Set up a meeting.
Good evening to the board and to all of you. I just wanted to make some general comments about the superintendent. I would hope that the superintendent would have a knowledge of curriculum, especially the area of reading. I'm also, I'm very interested in the curriculum. I believe in social justice, but not to the detriment of the curriculum. My heart goes out to this young man here that I just heard speak. But the superintendent should have a knowledge of how to get along with youth of all ages. We should encourage communication with internal and external publics. We cannot exclude our parents. If it were not for the parents, we would not have our students. So I would hope that we would have our citywide PTA again. I would hope that we would have systems where the parents could come to the school. If they wanted to sit in the classroom and observe unobtrusively, they could do that. But I understand we don't have those things now. And we need to be collaborative. We can't have an administration that does not involve our parents. We cannot have an administration who does not know about the latest research that's going on in reading and math and those things. We want to be on the cutting edge, and right now we are not at that point. And we can't get to that point unless we are collaborative, unless we're conciliatory, and unless we're unified. So I hope this person that you're bringing in is knowledgeable, has good relationships with people, has a past record of getting the test scores back where they should be. And most of all, I want the inclusivity where the parents can engage in our schools again. Thank you.
Nikki Bird.
Coming out of a system where I worked in the jail for 23 years, which I've said that many times before, I wish I had gone before him because it's kind of hard for me to talk. That's the very thing we want to try to keep from happening to our young people. This young man needs help. And we need to have some people in our schools to really help our young people, and we don't.
Yes. Yes.
We don't have services. It's more than just coming in and sitting in a classroom with a teacher who doesn't know anything about you, not trying to find out anything about you, and then have to go through something like that. What I want to say is this. Oh. I want to talk to you briefly about 9 districts here. Gary, Holbrook, East Chicago, Lake Central, Maryville, Hanover, Valpo, Hammond, and Lake Ridge. That's 9 districts. The salary for these superintendents range $178,000, $169,000, approximately $155,000. We're gonna hire somebody for $215,000.
The person who is making $188,000 at Lake Central as a superintendent is over 9,200 students. We actually, they say we have 4,100. I don't think we have that many. But the point is, and I'm tired of playing games, the point is this, and if I'm wrong, sue me, whatever. It's no secret. I don't know why people keep acting like it's a secret. Why would we be bringing somebody in, $215,000 with a bad record? I think personally, and I could be wrong, and I'll apologize later if I am. I hate apologizing. But from what I'm told, allegedly, this person is coming to us after being bought out of 2 contracts. Somebody by the name of Yvonne Stokes. If that's true, okay. If it's not, okay. But that's supposed to be the person that we're going to get. Who's going to come in and not do anything for our children. Is the next superintendent going to live in Gary? Because nobody else has been living in Gary for the last 3 or 4 years. They don't have any kind of feelings for our children. Our children are different. And let me say this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart without any disrespect. I don't think not an attorney in here, not a person who's running businesses, whatever you all are doing. The 6 of you, 5, 6, you wouldn't be sitting where you're sitting if you hadn't had a school board and had people like we got right now. You wouldn't be where you are today. You wouldn't be. And our children are being just totally dismissed like they don't count at all. We got to do something about this rule. We got to do something about it. He's not the only one. He's just one who came up here and said something tonight.
Amen.
Jackie Lee.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Lee. I guess my heart hurt hearing that young man.
Yes.
Maybe if I talk 3 minutes, you'll understand. But I got one thing I gotta say. I'm gonna quote Harriet Tubman, and I'm gonna get from up here. I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves.
Oh.
Mrs. L. Tisdale. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mrs. Lavetta Tyndall, a 1966 graduate of the wonderful Roosevelt High School in the great city of Warren, Indiana. My questions to the board and that I pose to the audience are questions I think need to be asked of whomever the superintendent is that has been selected by this body. What experience and expertise does the new superintendent have with a school corporation formerly under state takeover? Where in the budget and contract is it written that Mike Razor and Mavis Nelson remain Gary School Systems employees after June 30th? Where is the new superintendent's allegiance to the school board, to the Department of Education of the state of Indiana? Will the allegiance be to the students or otherwise?
What is our board's allegiance today? And what will it be July 1? What salaries are you paying or are being paid besides that for the new superintendent? What past or current relationship does the superintendent that's been selected, what does that person have in as far as MGT, DUAB, the Indiana Department of Education, the Indiana Secretary of Education, or this current board, What allegiance does the person have? What will be the superintendent's position regarding parents? What will be our system's position regarding placement of principals? Do you know we've had 7 principals in this school since 2017? God bless you, young man. And the prayer is that we can resolve your issues as they should be resolved.
Yeah.
And if we got a principal that can't be seen, can't be touched, can't be talked to, can't be approached,
That's right.
why is he being paid?
That's right.
And so we need to address that, and we need to address it yesterday. We gotta stop the nonsense and the games that we're playing. Sitting pretty is not the answer. Getting paid well and doing nothing is not the answer. We got kids, children that have to be given attention to. We can pay now, pay later. Is that the word? Is that the word? Pay our kids, our children, our jewels, pay them the attention that they are due. All right?
Amen.
Now, thank you very much.
Amen.
Dr. Michaela Spangenberg. Sorry.
Almost.
I had my husband write that down tonight in hopes that his handwriting was better. It's all right. My name is Dr. Michaela Spangenberg. I'm a facilitator with the Gary Education Coalition. The first thing I want to say is that the young man that we heard from tonight illustrates the end result of a lot of kind of these higher level issues that are being created. Because you have a teacher who is not held accountable, as far as we know, in terms of her responsibility toward her students. You have principals that aren't being held accountable regarding their responsibility to the schools. You have DUAB who's not held accountable, and the state that's not held accountable for the mess that they put these schools in. And unfortunately, the hope was once we got some local people in here, maybe people would realize the real way that you get buy-in from a community is to actually welcome the community to the table with you. That has not occurred. You have shut this community out of this superintendent process to such a great degree. And then it's ironic because then there's all these complaints about rumors and this, that. Well, that's the byproduct of what you've created, right? Because it's so much simpler. You see other school corporations do this all the time, to have an open and transparent process. That way everybody knows what's going on. Not just 6 people, 12 people, but the community as a whole. And there's a lot of things that, like people can try to make excuses regarding legal things, but at the end of the day, that's what they are, they're excuses. There's simple solutions to a lot of those issues. And what we're modeling for our children when we do this is that power should be abused, that the desires of the few should outweigh the rights of the many, that there's no justice or due process. I mean, what a bleak vision of the future we're offering them. Unfortunately, it's not even the future, it's the reality right now. Because we got to hear from one young man tonight, but how about all the other youth who don't know that they can come to a board meeting, or are afraid to come to a board meeting, or don't even know how to put into words what is happening to them in these schools? Because we've had some egregious examples that have still not been resolved fully and that need to be. And I hope that maybe we can turn the corner and start to have a real open, transparent, accountable process at this point, because you are undercutting this community's faith in the superintendent. You're setting them up for failure.
John Allen.
Good evening. My name is John Allen. I'm a resident of Gary, Indiana, taxpayer, father, local business person, and concerned citizen. I wanted to share with you tonight some information and/or thoughts regarding the school situation here. As we all know how important education is, we know that, or some of us may or may not know, we have no federal right to public education, not under the U.S. Constitution. For that reason, it's left up to the states, and we are the state here. And that means it's left up to us. Article 8 of the Indiana Constitution has said, and I'm going to quote section 1, knowledge and learning generally diffused throughout a community, being essential to the preservation of free government, it shall be the duty of the General Assembly to encourage by all suitable means moral, intellectual, scientific, and agricultural improvement, and to provide by law for a general and uniform system of common schools where there are no tuition, or it be tuition without charge, and equality open to all. And I want to pull you guys' attention to the equality open to all. Open to all, as interpreted by the courts, they don't mean just the door being open. And we, even myself, for some time I saw these students like I see the superintendent that we're going to have as a ghost, because I don't know who they are. And the students are being treated like a ghost. And sometimes the students are not thought about when we make these decisions. And I don't mean just curriculum. For example, some of the abandoned schools are assets of the board. Every property has its own inherent value and equity. Some of these properties were sold off like Horseman, for example, the whole campus for $5,000. I would rationale that if we acknowledge the kids beyond being ghosts, we would sell it at a reasonable price and reinvest that money into our children. Amen. So this is I want to bring a real life practical example and not theory and just argumentation and a gripe. And so I'm asking that you guys support the reversal of the sale of Horseman School, that it go to the open market. And I'm not foolish enough to believe that we can reuse the school because we don't have enough children, we don't have the resources. But at least it should be sold and the proceeds should go back to the kids that we are treating like the superintendent, a ghost. So we should quit doing that. Also, we should be mindful the access to information is also a protected right under the law. I would hate to be in a situation where I'm out among my community spearheading us to go into court with a class action so we can sue to get transparency and information. I would hate to do that because we would waste a lot of the taxpayers' money and more money that we can invest in our children. But I'm willing to do that on behalf of these children that are right now being treated like ghosts. So I ask you guys to research the law, be mindful of your obligation to disseminate information to us, and let's just help each other. Thank you.
All right.
Natalie Amos. Tracy Coleman.
Good evening. Good evening.
I would ask that we look at this superintendent's contract in historical terms. It's been 70 years since the Brown versus the Board of Education was passed.
Yeah.
It's been almost 1 year since affirmative action has been ended. Now, as we get ready and Gary to celebrate our Declaration of Independence from Duet, I want you to remember the Declaration of Independence that our founding fathers brought to this country. And I'm going to paraphrase it. We held these truths to be self-evident that all children are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If one of our children hurt, we all hurt. Think about affirmative action. What if our elders said, hey, let's give white people an incentive to hire black people. Let's not do affirmative action. Let's not do quotas. What would have happened to all those black baby boomers who got through that door, not because people wanted to let them in, but because their ancestors demanded that they get in? Now we have children in the system that everybody is given an incentive to do their job. Whether it's Edison, NGT, oh, this is your incentive. When does it become that people do the right thing by Gary's children because it's the right thing to do? And what I'm going to show in my 3 minutes, this is a picture of West Side. Why is it so hard to get our children a swimming pool?
Right.
These children are in walking distance of a nature preserve.
Yes.
So on one hand, you're going to talk about district enrollment. Children aren't going to come because you have $8 million worth of furniture. But if you give them a field house, if we do the mental health counseling, if we give them the facilities that are open 7 days a week to make it competitive, then we show our children that we love them. I'm going to end with, I need you all to ask for a forensic accounting. Because when we look at that last audit, anytime you have the State Board of Accounts say, I can't figure it out, well, what are we supposed to do? And if you're comfortable as a board to let your new superintendent come in where your audit has already said there's accounts with overdrawn balances, there's question comps, that goes to your credibility as a leader. So I would ask this board, look at my comments, termination clause, specific demands. We can't depend on people to do the right thing for our children because the history is showing they won't. We need it in writing. Seeing is believing. Please incorporate my comments in that contract.
All right.
Thank you.
Angela Lockett.
Hello. My name is Angela Lockett. I would just like to say amen to everything that Tracy just said. There should be specific things in the contract which are required, like she said, the curriculum, course offerings, put them online, incorporate labs, have summer school, Saturday school so the kids can graduate earlier, a swimming pool, the restrooms redone, and make sure that they are fully stocked. It's very embarrassing when our children are complaining about them not having basics like toilet paper and soap in their bathrooms. That's the least we can do for them. Also, I'm not so concerned about what the superintendent is getting paid. If she was getting paid $1 million, just work for that $1 million. Let's see that the school corporation, that the grades go up, that the curriculum goes up, that enrollment goes up. But there's always going to be a problem with enrollment when you have things like what that young brother was just talking about. Nobody wants to send their children to a school where they're not safe. Nobody wants to send their children to a school where they're treated like crap, where the food is unhealthy, where there are bugs, where the bathrooms don't have the things that are needed. Is teaching them that they are nothing, which is what the world is teaching them. So if we can have these little black kids in our schools and put a sense of pride in them, we won't have to do much else after that. So if we can just focus on, again, the curriculum, the atmosphere. I have 2 children. One I took out of the Gary School Corporation when she hit high school. Another one just graduated today from Gary Middle School. I want to send them both to Westside. I do, but I don't want them threatened, and I don't want them to have a bad education. That should be my choice, to send them to a public school that they can thrive in our neighborhood. And I know we can do it. We did it way before when we had nothing. When we was right out of slavery, we were able to educate our kids. So I think we just need people who are responsible and attentive to what it is that we need, who actually care, who are not there just for a paycheck. Because you can get your paycheck, just do the job. Thank you.
Natalie Ammons.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm very disturbed, and I don't know what my colleagues and cohorts may have reported on, but I have some issues. Number one is, and my issue is, as we move forward with this contract, and if the superintendent does not make the benchmarks, what cushion or what do we have in order for you to roll back? Number one, I'm mainly concerned about the curriculum because we have some difficulty with that. And why are we hearing now that Razor is going to purchase a curriculum for us? And what are we waiting on? Why wouldn't the superintendent come in and be accountable for that? Why are we trying to have other people to come in and micromanage if we're sure that this is the right person? Also, I'm interested in the experience with the turnaround. How long does the turnaround take? What is the superintendent saying about that? And the thing that's suspect to me is, why is it that we don't have any information with this about this person so we can do our own research, so we can determine ourselves whether or not this is a good fit? Why is it only you all that are making the decision when this is going to affect all of our children? Yes, we're emerging out of a takeover, but what guarantees? We've been here before. And remember the other times that we were here. I go back to Edison Learning. We don't want to repeat the same mistakes. Our children are already behind, and what is going to be done in terms of to get our children on level so they can compete globally. It's sad that we take them for granted and that we are not enough. We talked about this person has to be able to come into this community and to be able to communicate with all the people here. I'm concerned about that. When other people are making the decisions and the choices for this person. We're being told one thing by the public because, you know, the grapevine can be something else. But what are we being told by the people that are sitting in the leadership role to let us know what's going on? Why is everything so secretive? Right. Yeah, this is a community and we should be concerned and you should be able to give us information rather than to keep it all under wraps. I'm definitely concerned about that. Thank you.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for your attendance tonight. I appreciate your comments. I encourage you as we move forward. I hope to see this room even with more attendees. I think the engagement is good. Thank you and have a good evening.
You all have to officially adjourn.
When are we gonna know? When are we gonna know?
Excuse me.
When are we gonna know?
Excuse me. Thank you.
When are we gonna know? When are we gonna
I'd
know?
like to open up for my board members an opportunity to share any thoughts that they may have.
Somebody ought to leak the information. Leak the information.
I encourage you to look at the Gary Community School website. The date and time of our next meeting has been posted.
That's what you're gonna get tomorrow.
When?
It'll be posted tomorrow, but you can say it.
We are, I'm sorry, I can't overtalk.
Okay.
So it's at the bottom of their agenda. They look at the agenda, the date, time, next meeting.
It says next scheduled meeting, Gary Community School Board will be held on Friday, June 7th at 3 p.m.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would just like to thank everyone for coming out and sharing your comments. Before we move, though, I would definitely like to congratulate the high school graduating seniors that will be graduating from Westside Leadership Academy. I would also like to let the community know that several of the Westside Leadership Academy seniors received scholarships. They received $2,000 each. Jarena Bernard, Milton Green, Lamaya Newark, Kenyatta Upshaw, Lyric Williams, Michaela Riley, Demaria Newell, Kennedy Rouser, $2,000 each, and that came from the Carlton Guthrie family. He is the organizer of the GAPS program that is located here in Westside Leadership Academy. They also gave a scholarship in honor of Damari Roser. The student was unexpectedly deceased, and the Guthrie family gave that $2,000 scholarship to his mother. There was also another scholarship the Gary Frontiers gave to Kenyatta Upshaw, and I may be missing some, but I just wanted you to know that these students applied for scholarships, they uploaded essays, they uploaded their transcripts, people wrote reference letters for them, and each of them walked out of there with $2,000 plus, and I think we should give them a round of applause.
Any other comments? If there is anyone else who has not had an opportunity to share a comment, I'd like to open the floor up to you at this time. If anyone who has not had a comment would like to make a comment, I would like to open the floor up to you. Please state your name.
Emmett Mosley. I just want to say this, I'm a former school board member in East Chicago. And I just want to say to you, I love everybody. I love everybody. But this is not the way this process works. This is not the way the process should work. The community has to be involved in this process. Has to be. And I just look at it and it says, where is the, I don't see where you have said, this is our criteria and we want you involved. I haven't heard that. I haven't felt that. So I want to challenge you as a former school board. And hey, I know it's a tough job. School board members get paid less than any other board, okay? They get in the state, all right? But the process has to involve parents. My wife used to get mad at me because of the fact that folks would call me as early as 6 o'clock in the morning and as late as 11 o'clock. But they were concerned about the issue. And you have to get involved because as a school board member, you are also in charge of suspensions. You vote on suspensions. You vote on detention. You vote on a number of things that people may not know. But I just challenge you today to change the process. Change the process. You see what's happening in Hammond, how they voted last year to give the raise to the superintendent, and the mess that they're in. And that's because there's no details, there's no involvement. So I say to you, get involved. Let the people stop the process. You're in charge of the process. Stop the process and challenge people to get involved. All those meetings we had last year and the year before concerning the whole process of getting an elected school board. That was our main intention. And you're here because of a lot of that work, along with the legislators. But stop the process. Stop the process. I don't know who you chose. I have an inkling. People have told me a lot of things. And it shouldn't be that way. There should be some folks, I talk to folks all the time, all over this country from this city of Gary. We got some people running school systems all over this country from Gary, want to come back to Gary. But the most important thing is the criteria. And if we don't have an inkling of what that criteria is, then we're still at the point where somebody else is running our system and we're not in charge. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Dina Alamio, and I came this evening because I am concerned. I no longer have children in the system, but all of the children are our children. We are responsible for them. And so that's why I had to be here tonight. I'm a little disappointed because I thought one thing was going to happen at the meeting and it has not. But that doesn't alleviate any of the issues, especially after coming and hearing from that young man.
Yes, right.
See, one of the things, NGT didn't come here because they had a concern for the students in the Gary schools. They came here about money, okay? And the students have been completely eliminated in that whole conversation. Nobody talks about the student graduation rate. Nobody talks about what's going on in the schools today with our children. And we have a relatively new board, so you all have a chance to do some things very differently. And I am hoping that that will happen, that the students will become a part of this conversation. When we meet here for the school board meetings, they should be number one. That's what we should be discussing. We shouldn't come in here and see, I mean, that was heart-wrenching, what that young man did today. And we know he's not the only one. He is not the only student that is suffering in our schools. We have an obligation to the children. It's not about the money. It's not about, can we balance the budget? And Gary is making a mess of their money. It's always the money. But what is happening to our students? And that's what breaks my heart. That's what breaks my heart. I know teachers that go in there that every day they went into education because they were concerned about children and they can't get help. So I see some really good faces on this board, and I know there's some good minds and there's some good hearts and some good intentions. And I really hope that we can see a new day. This used to be the #1 school district in the country, in the United States of America. And we can be that again. And we can set a precedent, especially for African American communities, that they look at us and say, oh, you can't teach your children and your children are going to fail. We do not have to fail. And we have a community that needs to be involved. They need to be involved because our children are their children and they need to have a voice. And so we can't silence the parents. That's another issue. We can't silence them and expect our schools to be okay. We have an obligation to the students. Not about the money. It's not about what the state thinks about Gary schools or anybody else. We can do it, and we can do it for our students, and thank you.
Sharon, I want to make a comment before the next speaker.
Yes, please.
All right. The comment I want to make is this is beyond the comment period. but I wanted the general public to understand that the board extended the comment period to allow full transparency and to allow the general public to get every ounce of public commentary about this contract that they need to say. By law, they do not have to do that, but this board desires to do that so that everyone has the opportunity to say what they need to say. So speak now or forever hold your peace. If you have anything at this point to say, you can say it, but I just want that to be known for the record because this board is working really hard. They've done a lot of effort to make sure that this process goes smoothly.
Amen.
And thank you for that, amen. But I just want that to be known. So if you have anything else to say, line up and we'll hear what you have to say and then we'll go from there. But please relegate your comments to 3 minutes. The board has provided a lot of latitude. A lot of folks have gone beyond the subject matter and they haven't said anything and I haven't said anything. But please stay on the topic of the superintendent's proposed contract. That's what we're here for. All right?
All right.
Your name, please?
My name is Christine Jones. I'm sorry, my name is Christine Jones. If I'm to sit here and speak about the superintendent and the contract, that is not the reason of why I'm speaking. It's more or less like in what everybody else said, it's the children. I have children that are on IEP plans and they are being looked over. They're not having the help that they're supposed to have at Westside High School. I have one that was told today that she is a senior. She couldn't graduate last year. She was supposed to have 8 classes and her counselor wouldn't give it to her until the last minute, so she couldn't graduate. My daughter had a baby. She did all that she was supposed to do, and she got told today at practice that her name had got taken off the list.
Oh.
And so, as they said, once again, where do we go? I'm born and raised in Gary, Indiana. I graduated from Roosevelt High School, happily. I lived out of state. I came back, and I don't know what happened. And I don't know what to tell my children. Westside know me so much. They know me by first and last name. My children have came here to their program just to do day school, thinking that that would be a great, candidate, and it was not. One of my children dropped out of school. They're twins. He was frustrated. And I gladly put him in Excel for Goodwill, but it shouldn't have to happen like that. I have another one that's 16, and I refuse to put her back in Westside. I talked to Mr. Scott. We went through a whole situation, and they tried to arrest me and had no reason to arrest me over a teacher. She lost 1 day of work. They sent her back. Like I told Mr. Scott, I don't feel safety for that child. She has a lot more going on as far as her IEP plan, her intellect of what she understands and what she don't understand. At the end of the day, I just want to know, what are we going to do? If the children is our future and that's what we have to look to once we get old, we better get to praying now. Because I don't see no hope. And it's sad to say that. And I believe in God all day long. I praise his name all day long. I see no hope. I see no hope. Like they said, you shouldn't have to get answers, or you call the school, they don't answer. Or you can ask questions.
That's your time.
Okay. Well, thank you for listening to me.
Excuse me. What was your name again?
Christine.
Christine?
John.
John.
Yes,
Help
yes.
us, help us.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, board, council. How you doing today? My name is David Fawcett. I just had a couple of questions to ask. You guys were elected to the board, school board, and you guys had to submit resumes. You had to submit everything about you and let the public know. I don't understand why we can't find out about this superintendent or what she is about. Second of all, is she going to turn the school system around? Because in order to get this city in order, we need somebody to turn the school system, because nobody's gonna move in Gary if the school system is terrible. And you guys got it in your hands to deal with this. I know the superintendent is gonna have challenges because they're gonna have, she, I don't know which one it is gonna have to deal with these video games, these computers, these cell phones. I tutor kids in Gary, and these kids, some of them go to Westside, and they're telling me every day that they're scared to go to the school because they're getting threatened and they're gonna get beat up and everything. What can they do? What can we do to turn this around? When I was in school, we didn't have that kind of foolishness going on. There was a couple of fist fights, but these days now, they want to shoot you, stab you, or whatever. You have to watch these kids because they might bring guns in. And my whole question is, why can't we meet this superintendent? Why couldn't give us a video call or something, let us know who she is or who he is? I don't know which one it is. But thank you.
Thank you. And I'm gonna make another comment, Chairman. I want to make sure people understand the process, and particularly what Mr. Fawcett discussed. And I believe Attorney Coleman was she was the board attorney for the school corporation at some point, so she might be able to fill the public in on this. But personnel matters are confidential, typically. That's to protect the person, and that's to protect their safety, that's to protect if they could be transferred from another place, they could have other employment. You cannot disclose typically that sort of information for protection, not only from a personnel standpoint, but for safety. So that board has chosen the road of confidentiality to make sure that they protect the superintendent's safety, and also to make sure that this process goes by unhindered and without any problems. They are entitled to do that by law, and there's nothing that is illegal about that process. So I want to make sure that that's clear. The board has done nothing illegal by keeping the name of the superintendent confidential. So I hope that answers any and all questions on that issue. All right, well,
Your name, sir?
My name is Leonard Powell, and I want to thank everybody that came out with some powerful things to say today. I won't take much of the board's time because I feel like this collective gathering of citizens pretty much spoke their heart. I would leave you with this though, and it's a Frederick Douglass quote. It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men.
My name is Roy Hamilton, and I'm a citizen here, and my son went to Westside High School, an educator, and I just ask that whatever superintendent we have, that we don't tear that person down. That we give that person an opportunity to succeed. I believe in that. I believe in leadership. And when that person's not doing what we feel is right, as I've seen we go through superintendents, we have bought our contracts. And it's a waste of money to me. So if that person was good enough to come here, it's a person who should be good enough for us to keep, even in bad times. And so the only way that, and for me, because I got many children in the Gary school system. As a matter of fact, I moved from Hammond to Gary because of the school system. And people ask me why. And people from Gary ask me why. Because when my son came here, he was affirmed. And we have a lot of jewels in here. Even this facility right here is a gold mine in Gary. And we should uplift everything we have in Gary, because I tell my students to come to my classroom, we're here, I will not uplift, I will not put you down, we will only uplift. So whatever superintendent we have, the community, the school board must support. Because if we don't, we're going to have the failures that we had in the past.
Amen.
Hello everyone, my name is Robert Coleman, Community Servant, and I'm going to speak now, but Counselor, I'm not going to fail to hold my peace because I believe in freedom. Okay, Now, once again, and correction, counselor, that was Robert L. Lewis, an associate that had that contract, not Coleman Law Group. Correct yourself. Okay, now I'm up here today because I'm worried about you all. Okay, I don't care where you get the superintendent from. As long as that person is going to represent our children to help bring up first the educational goals in this city. Second, continue to maintain the finances. That's all I'm asking for. Education first. And I feel sorry for you all. And Brother Suggs, I heard someone state that you said we don't need a forensic audit. We need a forensic audit. We need it on the finances. We need it on the educational goals. We need it on how many students is actually in the public school system. Because I have a fear that they're throwing you all in the fire. And the reason why the community is so upset is because not knowing who the superintendent is, because we have been kept in the dark for over 5 years. Every time you ask a question, I don't know. That's why the community is such an uproar. So please, I feel sorry for you all because I feel that they're going to throw you all in there. All the money going to be gone. We're going to be right back in the same situation we were before. I'm on y'all side. And you all should take consideration about this. Whoever the superintendent is, I pray that they come in strong. You all work it together as a team and do what's best for our children. Because our children is the only thing that matters. And before I want to say it to everyone, Jesus is going to fix this. Blessings.
What's your name, man? Did you spell that? I'm sorry.
L-A-B-R-A-Z-A Duncan.
Thank you.
Good evening. I agree with a lot of what has been stated here tonight. I feel like this is a slap in the face of the community. I'm very disappointed in the board. I am one that really fought hard for my property tax dollars to go towards the education of our students. And we don't vote for a president. We don't choose a pastor over our church. There's a lot of things that we don't do and not know something about it. And to have our board deny us our rights as a people to know who is going to be over or responsible for our children, that I'm very disappointed. And I know some of you, but very, very disappointed in that. And I'm hoping that the superintendent, the things that have been said tonight, I'm just hoping that you will pay attention to it, because we got to where we are because of the educators that cared about us. And I don't see that, and I don't see the board caring at all about the students, because you're so silent. When we go to the state, and I've gone to many state board meetings in Indianapolis, they do exactly what you're doing. They just sit there and look at us. They don't respond. They don't say anything. And our dollars are paying their salary. And I don't know how much you get. I don't care if it's $200, still we paying it. And I remember, I'll never forget a young lady, one of the times when the community did not pass for our tax dollars to go towards education. She said, we're not worth $50, because they had said our taxes might be $50 more. And when that young lady said that at Westside High School, we're not worth $50. The next time that came, I fought, put signs in my yard, and voted and begged other people to vote, because our children are worth $50. So that's all I just want to say is I'm extremely disappointed, because I was expecting a lot more.
Thank you again for your comments and your attendance. I'd like to entertain a motion from the board to adjourn. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.